Hope you're doing well. Well, this is going to be kind of a controversial video. It talks about a part of America that most people don't want to talk about, and they keep it in disguise. Um, but this is going to these statistics and dealing with race relations. But this is going to be a statistic, and this is where it towns. And I'm going to show you another video on my other device about this topic.
We're exploring the top 10 whitest states in the US where black people are not welcome. A shocking reality. It's about places where folks might not feel welcome due to their skin color. So buckle up and let's get ready to explore this important topic together. Our first stop is Vermont. Picture this. Rolling green hills, charming villages, maple syrup galore. It's like stepping into a postcard. But behind this picturesque facade, Vermont holds the top spot with 92.3% of its population identifying as white. Is everyone feeling the love in this winter wonderland? Diversity is like a good mix of plants and animals in an ecosystem. When one group dominates, it can create an environment where others feel out of place. Have there been any incidents or reports of racial discrimination? Are there efforts to make sure everyone feels included? Vermont might be known for its stunning scenery and delicious syrup, but it's also a place where we need to pay attention to the human experience. Next up, we're heading to Maine. This state's practically synonymous with lobster rolls and rocky coastlines. But like Vermont, Maine boasts a predominantly white population at 92.3%. What's the story with race relations in Maine? History has a way of leaving its mark, just like an old croc's scars tell a tale of survival. For Maine, it's important to acknowledge any historical events that might still cast a shadow on the present. Understanding a place's past helps us understand its present. Has Maine learned from its past? Are there any lingering racial tensions? Maine, with its rugged beauty and independent spirit, deserves a closer look at its social fabric. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're heading to West Virginia. Known for its breathtaking mountain ranges and Appalachian charm, with a 91.4% white population, we've got to ask, how's the social climate in this mountain state? When a place is as homogeneous as West Virginia, it's like having a monoculture in nature. A lack of diversity in human communities can lead to a lack of understanding and empathy for those who are different. Are there any disparities in education, healthcare, or employment opportunities based on race? Are there community organizations working to bridge divides and promote inclusivity? West Virginia, with its strong sense of community and rich cultural heritage, has the potential to be a place of true inclusivity. Get ready to brave the cold, because we're heading north to New Hampshire. This state is known for its rugged landscapes and chilly winters, but there's so much more to discover. Known for its stunning fall foliage and charming covered bridges, New Hampshire also has a predominantly white population at 90%. The picturesque scenery hides a complex social fabric. Are there any invisible barriers, like those granite cliffs, when it comes to race relations? These natural formations might symbolize the unseen challenges faced by minorities. It's crucial to examine whether everyone in New Hampshire has equal access to resources and opportunities, regardless of their race. Do all communities feel equally supported? Have there been any significant events or trends in New Hampshire that highlight the experiences of minorities? Understanding history helps us address current issues. Are there organizations working to promote diversity and inclusion? Awareness is key. These groups play a vital role in fostering a more inclusive environment. Just like we wouldn't ignore a sick animal, we can't ignore the very real issues of racial inequality. Compassion should extend to all aspects of society. By shining a light on these issues, we can work towards creating a more just and equitable society for everyone. Every step towards awareness is a step towards change. Saddle up, partners, because we're heading to Wyoming, known for its wide open spaces, cowboys, and rodeos. With a population that's 87.3% white, we've got to ask, is Wyoming as welcoming as its landscapes are vast? Wyoming's known for its rugged individualism and self-reliance. Does that same spirit of unity exist for all communities in Wyoming? Are there support systems in place for minorities? Are different cultures celebrated and embraced? Ignoring diversity is like ignoring a change in the environment. It can have unintended consequences. True strength comes from embracing our differences, not shying away from them. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're heading to the heartland of America, Iowa. Known for its vast, rolling cornfields and picturesque landscapes, Iowa is a place where the simplicity of rural life meets the complexities of modern society. Known for its rolling cornfields and friendly folks, Iowa also has a predominantly white population, with 86.9% identifying as such. But what about the other 13%? How do they fit into this cultural mosaic? Does this cultural harmony extend to all communities? Are there spaces where everyone feels welcome and included? A healthy society needs diversity of thought, culture, and experience. It's the blend of different perspectives that enriches our lives and strengthens our communities. Have there been any notable incidents or reports of racial discrimination in Iowa? How are these issues being addressed by the community and local authorities? Are there efforts to promote diversity and inclusion in various sectors like education, healthcare, and employment? Awareness is key. Initiatives and programs aimed at fostering inclusivity can make a significant difference. Just like we wouldn't ignore a sick animal, we can't ignore the very real issues of racial inequality. Addressing these concerns head-on is crucial for progress. By shining a light on these issues, we can work towards creating a more just and equitable society for everyone. It's a collective effort that requires understanding, empathy, and action. Get ready for some breathtaking views, because we're heading to Montana. This state is renowned for its expansive skies and natural beauty that stretches as far as the eye can see. Known as Big Sky Country, Montana's famous for its stunning mountain ranges, vast plains, and rugged beauty. The landscapes here are truly awe-inspiring, offering a sense of freedom and tranquility. With a population that's 86.4% white, we've got to ask, are the hearts as big as the sky when it comes to inclusivity? How does this demographic shape the social fabric of the state? Montana, much like the wild animals that roam its landscapes, has a strong sense of independence and self-reliance. The spirit of the wilderness is mirrored in the people who call this place home. Are there any current events or issues that highlight the experiences of minorities in Montana? How are these stories being told and received by the broader community? Are there organizations working to bridge divides and promote understanding between different cultural groups? What initiatives are in place to foster a more inclusive environment? Diversity is a strength, not a weakness. It brings different perspectives and enriches the community in countless ways. Just like a diverse ecosystem is more resilient, a diverse society is more adaptable and vibrant. The interplay of different cultures can lead to a more dynamic and robust community. Let's see if Montana is living up to its reputation for big hearts and open minds. Is this state truly a place where everyone can feel at home and valued? Hold on to your spuds because we're heading to Idaho. Famous for its potatoes and stunning scenery, Idaho also has a predominantly white population, with 84.9% identifying as such. How does Idaho fare when it comes to racial equality and social justice? Are there any disparities in education, healthcare, or employment opportunities based on race? Are there community organizations working to bridge divides and promote inclusivity? Awareness is key. Just like we wouldn't ignore a sick animal, we can't ignore the very real issues of racial inequality. By shining a light on these issues, we can work towards creating a more just and equitable society for everyone. Idaho, with its peaceful agricultural haven, deserves a closer look at its social fabric. Howdy, partners. We're moseying on down to Kentucky, the land of fast horses, smooth bourbon, and soulful bluegrass music. But beneath the charm and hospitality, Kentucky, with its 84.8% white population, faces its own set of challenges when it comes to race relations. From the legacy of slavery to the civil rights movement, Kentucky has witnessed its fair share of struggles. Have those wounds of the past truly healed? Are all Kentuckians, regardless of their race, treated with dignity and respect? Understanding a place's past is crucial to understanding its present. Is Kentucky truly a place of belonging for everyone? Or are there still fences to mend and bridges to build? Our final stop takes us to North Dakota, the Peace Garden State. Known for its friendly people, vast prairies, and of course those brutally cold winters, North Dakota rounds out our list with a population that's 84.5% white. Does that peaceful coexistence extend to all communities? Diversity is like a good prairie wind. It brings in fresh ideas and strengthens the roots of a society. Are there support systems in place for minorities? Are different cultures celebrated and embraced? Awareness is key. Just like we wouldn't ignore a sick animal, we can't ignore the very real issues of racial inequality. By shining a light on these issues, we can work towards creating a more just and equitable society for everyone. Well, folks, we've covered a lot of ground today, haven't we? From the green mountains of Vermont to the wide open spaces of Wyoming, we've explored the unique challenges and triumphs of these predominantly white states when it comes to race relations. What are your thoughts? Have you had any experiences, good or bad, in these states or others? Share your stories in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going. Thanks for joining me today.
Ever wondered which countries might not be?
Now, I have a question. Why do people feel like the white population is dropping? And you clearly don't see, and they maintain a strong white population in these states. So why do we have problems like sundown towns?
That's black tells me. Do not go and say, dude, you might want to get up out of here as soon as possible. Where it's sundown, you want to leave here now.
Sundown towns are communities where black Americans are explicitly unwelcome after sunset. These towns enforce their exclusion through intimidation, violence, and policies that discourage or outright prohibited black residency. While the 13th Amendment may have abolished slavery in the United States, loopholes paired with systemic policies like Jim Crow laws led to the civil rights movement of the 1960s, which sought to dismantle segregation and advance equal rights to all. Yet, more than half a century later, the scars of systemic racism persist, manifesting in various forms, including the troubling legacy of sundown towns. While some sundown towns no longer maintain official exclusionary practices, their histories leave a lasting impact on the racial makeup and culture of these areas. We are turning our attention to some cities where the sun never really set.
What began as a gutsy inspirational idea is growing into a disruptor in social media and the creator economy. Our journey has been remarkable. From being a self-funded...
We are turning our attention to some cities where the sun never really set. Forsyth County, Georgia has a legacy of racial expulsion. Including present day, this town made recent headlines after an investigation revealed a hostile environment was created when the public school system banned and censored only certain books. Yes, in the 2020s, but more on that in a minute. Forsyth County, Georgia became infamous in 1912 when white mobs violently expelled its black residents following allegations of crimes against white women. Over 1,000 black residents were forced to flee their homes, leaving behind their property, livelihoods, and communities. This violent expulsion marked the beginning of a century of racial exclusion in Forsyth County. By the mid-20th century, the county was virtually all white, and it remained that way for decades. A few attempts at reintegration were met with resistance and hostility, including protests in the 1980s when civil rights activists attempted to hold marches in the area. Today, Forsyth County is more diverse, but the scars of its violent past still haunt its identity. Memorials and public acknowledgments of the county's history have been sparse, and debates over how to teach that history remain contentious. Back to the recent news headlines, there were huge issues for the city's racist undertones in K-12 classrooms. The U.S. Department of Education made Forsyth County upper schools actually collect data on racial harassment. This came after an investigation into the district's book ban that may have created a hostile environment for some students. The investigation revealed that many of the censored banned books were about the black experience, so in this case, the town is still waiting for the sun to set on its sundown legacy.
I see trailer parks, I see a bunch of Confederate flags. I saw a doll of a black man, it was just a doll, wrapped in a Confederate flag hanging from a tree by its neck. That's the type of stuff I saw in Vidor, Texas.
Vidor, Texas is an infamous sundown town with a long casting shadow. Even today, people of color discuss avoiding Vidor at all costs as it's right off the interstate during road trips in Texas. Why? Vidor gained notoriety in the 20th century as a sundown town with their signs warning black individuals to leave before nightfall, which served as a stark reminder of the town's exclusionary practices. Yes, this city used to literally have signs up to tell black individuals to leave before nightfall. This reputation was further cemented by local acts of intimidation and violence designed to keep black families out. Even as the civil rights movement made strides nationwide, Vidor resisted integration and its population remained overwhelmingly white for decades. In the 1990s, Vidor was a haven for the KKK. In 2022, the town was thrust back into the spotlight when a black truck driver, Gideon, that he saw earlier, spent the night in Vidor and posted about his experience. He was shocked when his GPS took him to the exit of the notoriously racist town. When Gideon got to his truck loading site in Vidor, he heard a security guard alerting coworkers to a code red.
Hey, we got a code red.
The security in the area did not want to be responsible for Gideon's safety. As his truck was being unloaded, one man warned Gideon to leave and keep driving and not stop until he reached Beaumont. When Gideon asked about the police, the man just said, "Police turn a blind eye." It is insane to think this happened such a short time ago, still in the 2020s. Known to many as the most racist town in America, Harrison, Arkansas is a town struggling for redemption. Harrison has long been associated with white supremacist organizations, including the Ku Klux Klan. The presence of these groups has cast a long shadow over the town, deterring diversity and perpetuating a reputation for hostility toward black residents. Harrison's history is marked by incidents of violence and intimidation that reinforced its status as a sundown town well into the 20th century. You might be thinking that the KKK's residency in Harrison is a thing of the past, or that it has since cleaned up its problems. But as recently as October 2024, Harrison once again won the title of Most Racist Town in America. Grand Rapids native and filmmaker Rob Bliss went viral in 2020 when he held up a Black Lives Matter sign in, you guessed it, the most racist town in America. He stood with his sign in Harrison and was met with the N-word, various other slurs, accusations of being a Marxist, and actually, many people screamed back, "White Lives Matter." It's proof that the town's twilight is still yet to come.
Hop on electric e-bikes, brand new Electric One, named one of the best electric bikes of 2024 by Bicycling Magazine.
Well, yet to come. Anna, Illinois is a town with a chilling acronym. The town of Anna is often associated with an unofficial acronym. Ain't no, you guessed it, which N-word allowed. This phrase, while shocking, reflects the historical reality of black exclusion in the town. Anna's reputation as a sundown town was enforced through intimidation and systemic policies that discouraged black residency. For decades, black travelers and residents understood that Anna was a place to avoid after dark. Today, Anna's demographic makeup remains overwhelmingly white, raising questions about the long-term effects of its exclusionary past. The cultural and economic barriers that maintain segregation remain significant in Anna. While many white people would argue that the Anna acronym is in the past, the same cannot be argued by the town's black residents. Conversations about the town's history and future are slowly beginning, driven by younger generations and community advocates seeking to address its legacy, including hosting a Black Lives Matter protest. Elwood, Indiana is a town resistant to change. To be fair, the entire state of Indiana, which was founded in 1851, had a state constitution that banned people of color from settling there. Elwood, in particular, was once known as a place where black individuals were explicitly unwelcome. Reports of violent incidents and community efforts to maintain racial uniformity persisted well into the 20th century. Elwood's reputation as a sundown town was not merely anecdotal, it was a reality enforced by both individuals and institutions. In recent years, some residents have taken steps to address this history, including holding public forums and educational events aimed at fostering inclusivity. However, progress has been slow and resistance to change remains strong in some quarters. Elwood's story highlights the challenges of transforming deeply ingrained attitudes and rebuilding trust within communities. But one black resident said, Elwood is still very racially segregated. The black people live with caution, the Hispanics live with ignorance, and I have yet to see an Asian family live here. I have also been told that there are about 150 active Klan members within city limits. With a long history of hostility, Cicero, Illinois gained national attention in the 1950s for a violent riot when a black family attempted to move into a predominantly white neighborhood. The ensuing violence, which included the destruction of property and physical attacks, underscored the depth of resistance to integration.
The U.S.
in
is one of the most diverse.
Cicero's history of segregation and hostility toward black residents persisted well into the late 20th century. Unfortunately, the town's Sundown past isn't exclusively in the past. In July of 2020, black residents of Cicero reacted to looting and the destruction of black-owned businesses. Many black-owned businesses in the town were ransacked, leaving 2 people dead and 60 people arrested. Many residents believe this was a backlash of the recent BLM protests in the area. Residents were advised to stay indoors and curfews, yes, literal curfews, were put in place to avoid vigilante responses. This only fostered more tension between black residents and law enforcement. Regardless of your race, putting yourself in another one's shoes can be helpful, and in this instance, I definitely see how tensions were boiling over as the city issued curfews requiring grown adults to stay inside after dark, especially considering the town's history. Corbin, Kentucky is a small town of only 7,800 people just north of the Tennessee border, about an hour and a half south of Lexington, Kentucky.
I've been there.
Kentucky, as a state, has never had the greatest reputation when it comes to racism.
What's this?
But Corbin takes it to the next level. It's 97% white, and that is by design. In 1919, white residents rioted and forced the town's 200 black families onto a train and out of town. It continued with a legacy as a sundown town where black residents were intimidated into staying inside after dark. The town is still considered by many as a sundown town in modern day. Corbin, Kentucky continues making headlines as recently as 2023, when the police in Corbin were looking into reports of racist flyers being spread throughout town. The notes were believed to be directly from the KKK, and it had the residents left unsettled. Can you imagine just minding your own business, leaving the grocery store to find some hate-filled flyer on your car window? Oh, and you're told it's from the KKK? Do better, Kentucky. Now we're going way up north to Darien, Connecticut. Most people don't think of pairing the north with racism, but this is a town of hidden exclusivity. Though less common in New England, Darien was an actual sundown town. However, unlike many towns on this list, Darien, Connecticut lacks the overt violence associated with sundown towns. How so? This city's history of exclusion is tied to wealth and zoning laws that effectively barred black families from settling in the community. Restrictive covenants and unspoken cultural norms maintained Darien's racial uniformity for much of the 20th century. Today, the town's demographics still reflect the exclusionary practices, raising questions about economic and racial equity. While some residents and leaders have called for greater inclusivity and affordable housing initiatives, these efforts have faced resistance. Darien's story highlights the subtle but pervasive ways systemic racism can shape communities.
At Exam Expedite, we believe if you're married.
Let me stop this right here. I'm gonna come in on this. If you look at some of these towns, I wonder what is the job market there. I wonder what is the economic market there. Is a job? I bet you don't have a high job market, right? And you look at towns like Anna, Illinois, it's practically a ghost town. A lot of these towns are practically ghosts. No one wants to come there because that's the kind of mindset America still have. But this
countries in the world. But surprisingly, racism is still very common in some cities. Many historical events support this claim, and we believe it's important to keep you informed so you can make better decisions. Welcome to our channel, where we explore different places around the world. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update from us. In today's video, we will share with you the 8 most racist cities in the United States, so make sure to watch till the end. Without further delay, let's check out the list. Number 8, Berkeley, California. In Berkeley, California, a city renowned for its progressive ideals and historical role in the free speech movement, a disturbing trend has emerged amidst its liberal facade. A significant uptick in anti-Semitic incidents and attacks targeting Jewish students at UC Berkeley. Despite its reputation for tolerance and activism, Berkeley has witnessed a startling 360% increase in anti-Semitic attacks since October 7th,
marking a troubling escalation in hate-driven violence within the community. The campus environment, traditionally a bastion of activism and inclusivity, has become a focal point of tension during protests concerning international conflicts involving Israel and Palestine. What began as passionate demonstrations for political causes has morphed into alarming incidents of harassment, vandalism, and physical assaults specifically targeting Jewish students. Many of these students, caught in the crossfire of geopolitical tensions, have found themselves unfairly singled out and subjected to vitriolic attacks simply for their perceived identity. The national spotlight has turned towards UC Berkeley, along with 5 other universities, as authorities and educational bodies investigate these incidents of anti-Semitism. The House Education Committee has launched inquiries into the campus climate and safety measures, underscoring the seriousness with which these issues are being addressed at a federal level. Simultaneously, the U.S. Department of Education's Civil Rights Office has initiated its investigations to ensure compliance with anti-discrimination laws and to safeguard the rights of all students on campus. Beyond the immediate impact on campus life, these developments have sparked a broader societal dialogue on the limits of free speech, the rise of hate speech, and the responsibilities of educational institutions in fostering inclusive environments. Berkeley, long seen as a beacon of progressive values, now faces a critical moment of introspection and action as it grapples with how to confront and mitigate the spread of anti-Semitic sentiments within its community. For the Jewish community at UC Berkeley and beyond, these incidents have not only threatened their physical safety, but have also raised profound concerns about their sense of belonging and acceptance in a city historically celebrated for its diversity and tolerance. As Berkeley navigates this complex terrain of social justice and community harmony, the challenge remains to uphold its ideals of inclusivity while combating the resurgence of bigotry that threatens to tarnish its reputation as a sanctuary for all voices and identities. Number 7. Bellingham, Washington. Bellingham, Washington, nestled in the picturesque Cascade Mountains and known for its serene beauty, has a darker history marred by racial tensions and violence. The city gained notoriety primarily due to the Bellingham riots of 1907, a tragic episode in which white workers violently targeted South Asian immigrants. On September 4, 1907, tensions boiled over as white workers, feeling threatened by the presence of Asian immigrants in the local labor market, stormed into lumber mills, forcibly removed South Asian workers from their jobs, and ransacked their living quarters. This vicious outburst of xenophobic aggression culminated in driving out the entire Asian community from Bellingham, leaving them displaced and traumatized. Over a century later, Bellingham continues to grapple with racial discord, evidenced by recent incidents of hate crimes targeting Asians. In 2023, 4 teenagers were arrested for alleged hate crimes after following and assaulting a man of Asian descent on his way home from work. The attackers reportedly used their t-shirts to whip him and threw rocks at him, highlighting the persistence of racial animosity in the community. These troubling events underscore the enduring legacy of racism in Bellingham. Despite its reputation as a progressive city in the Pacific Northwest, the historical anti-Asian sentiment, manifested in the 1907 riots and echoed in contemporary hate crimes, serves as a stark reminder of the ongoing challenges faced by minority communities in seeking acceptance and safety within the city. As Bellingham confronts its past and present struggles with racism, the community remains at a crossroads, striving to reconcile its scenic charm with the need for greater racial justice and inclusivity. Number 6. Utqiagvik, Barrow, Alaska. Utqiagvik, formerly known as Barrow, Alaska, stands as one of the northernmost cities in the United States, characterized by its stark beauty and remote location. However, beneath its tranquil Arctic exterior lies a complex and often painful history of racial tensions. Unlike many other parts of the country, where racism typically involves minority groups being targeted by a white majority, Utqiagvik presents a unique case where Native Alaskans have harbored deep-seated animosities towards white residents, stemming from historical grievances and perceived injustices. These tensions date back generations, rooted in the colonial era when white settlers arrived in Alaska, disrupting the traditional ways of life for native communities. In Utqiagvik, these historical wounds have manifested in various forms of discrimination and harassment against white residents. Although whites make up only about 21.8% of the population, they often find themselves targets of hostility. This ongoing friction is evident in the reports from students at local schools who have experienced harassment and a general sense of being unwelcome. The Native Alaskan community, which comprises 57.2% of Utqiagvik's population, has had to contend with the legacy of colonization, which has left enduring scars. Many Native Alaskans still view the presence of whites through a lens colored by historical trauma, seeing them as invaders who disrupted their ancestral lands and ways of life. This perspective has perpetuated a cycle of resentment and, in some cases, overt acts of discrimination. The violence has not been merely symbolic. There have been instances where white individuals have been physically attacked, and the overall climate of tension has led to a palpable sense of unease among the non-native residents. These incidents underscore a broader societal issue, where historical grievances continue to shape present-day interactions, making it difficult for communities to move toward reconciliation. Utqiagvik's situation illustrates the complexities of race relations in America, showing that racism and discrimination can take many forms and affect various groups. The challenge for Utqiagvik lies in addressing these deep-rooted issues, fostering mutual understanding, and working towards a more inclusive community where all residents, regardless of their racial or ethnic background, can coexist peacefully. Number 5. Honolulu, Hawaii. Honolulu, Hawaii. Often romanticized as a tropical paradise and a melting pot of cultures, harbors a harsh reality for its indigenous population. Despite the city's vibrant diversity and the fact that Asians hold the majority, Native Hawaiians find themselves disproportionately affected by systemic issues such as homelessness, violence, and other forms of discrimination. One of the most glaring indicators of this disparity is the chronic homelessness crisis in Honolulu. Native Hawaiians, who make up only 8% of the city's population, represent a staggering 28% of its homeless population. This disproportionate figure highlights the severe socioeconomic challenges faced by Native Hawaiians, who struggle with access to affordable housing, employment opportunities, and social services. Violence against Native Hawaiian women and girls is another critical issue plaguing the community. They experience violence at rates significantly higher than their population size would suggest. Over a quarter of missing girls in Hawaii are Native Hawaiian, underscoring the community's vulnerability to violence and exploitation. These troubling statistics paint a picture of a population marginalized and at risk, often overlooked in broader discussions about public safety and justice. The perception of Hawaii as a racial utopia contributes to the erasure of Native Hawaiian struggles. This idealized view masks the systemic racism and socioeconomic inequities that persist in the islands. Native Hawaiians frequently face discrimination in various forms, whether in the job market, educational institutions, or interactions with law enforcement. These issues are compounded by a historical context of colonization and displacement, which continues to affect Native Hawaiian communities today. As Honolulu grapples with these complex social issues,
translate your content into 29 languages in just seconds with 11 Labs. Change the way you record podcasts, voiceovers, and branded content with the #1 AI-powered voice generating.
Oh boy. Sad, ain't it?
Messages. The school superintendent said the incidents were, quote, very disturbing and unacceptable. Believe it or not, even California has its share of sundown towns, and Fresno, California is no exception. Many of us think about California as a utopia for diversity, but with that diversity comes subtle, or in this case, not so subtle racism. Fresno is truly a tale of two cities, white Fresno and non-white Fresno. The differences are stark, and many cite its Sundown legacy as the reason for the government's neglect of its so-called black part of town. The west side has been neglected with pothole-ridden roads, overflowing landfills, and schools unable to meet the needs of its children. One Fresno resident shared that she was actually called racial slurs by her white teachers, who made it clear that West Fresno was not their choice place to be. More than half of West Fresno lives below the poverty line, compared to only 27% of the rest of the city. A simple internet search will reveal a city fraught with racial violence, accusations of racism among the school boards, and government neglect in its neighborhoods predominantly made up by people of color. This residential segregation is no accident either. It was by design. Kenilworth, Illinois made this list with its quiet segregation. Kenilworth is one of the wealthiest suburbs in the United States. While its exclusivity is primarily enforced through economic barriers, its lack of diversity speaks to a history of policies and practices that have excluded black residents. Restrictive zoning laws, high property values, and unspoken social norms have maintained Kenilworth's racial uniformity for generations. Today, Kenilworth's demographic makeup serves as a stark reminder of how systemic racism can manifest in less overt ways. One of the most obvious remnants of this racist town is the Joseph Sears School. While the name may sound innocent or remind most people of the 80s era department store, what most people don't realize is that Joseph Sears had a pretty strong stance about race. The school's makeup is 90% white, and that is largely because of Joseph Sears and his policy of selling land to Caucasians only. And in his world, Caucasians did not include Jewish people. So, while the town may seem like the sun has set on the 20th century, schools with names like Joseph Sears continue to be a reminder of the past. Let me know in the comments if you know of any other cities that should have made this list, and make sure to check out this video that has a break
For a better job opportunity.
So I'm going ahead and make my comment off these videos. You know, one thing I can say, learning from these videos, what did it accomplish keeping other people away and bullying them, harassing them, making their life a living hell on earth? These towns on this video, your Harrison, Arkansas, from your Fresno, California to your Vidor, Texas, and even place, what good is it going to do to be racist? What is these people afraid of? What are these people scared of? Why they install this stuff in their children? And we say that we want to move on as a country, but we have an inner battle in our country with this stuff. Oh, it's issues like this overseas. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you see it in parts of Europe, and you see it in parts. But it's sad that, you know, when everybody come here, you know, you figure that God will give them wisdom to let's work together. And there's people that wants to move on with the present, but you got people, it's generation after generation keeps pushing the past. They want to keep the past going, and they want to keep them certain cities and certain towns looking the way they do. They want certain people not to have the opportunities and what they have to share and be on an equal basis with opportunities. Everything is about fear, intimidation, and bullying, and trying to neglect and deny and delay other people. And this is what America, you see, is passed down from generation to generation. Racism, as I said before, is not going away till God comes back. And these videos proved it. It's not going away. And it keeps on and on till one people spread from one generation after generation. And it's sad that in certain places in the United States, they still are like this. And some people probably be surprised that their town popped up like this. Some people are surprised it's still going on. But we're one of countries in the world that take racism to a whole different level. Take it all the way to a different level and still make it generation after generation. And it's going to hurt America. It's going to hurt America's prosperity-wise because you're playing the same game what this current administration is trying to do. They think they're going to get it back to the way it was during that time. That's why they did away with this exclusivity and things like that. But what it's going to reflect is going to show that no one's going to want to do business with you, and you're going to hurt not only the people here, thinking that you're going to prosper because it's got to have a white face on it, but you're going to hurt yourself in the end because talent and prosperity with individuals in the collective, everybody have something to contribute. In these little towns to the big cities don't realize that. If you go into a town like Avida, Texas, if you go into a place like Harrison, Arkansas, do you see any progression going through there? Do you see any jobs going through there? Manufacturing growth going through there? Do you see companies? The ignorance have kept prosperity out in that respect, but you're scared because you don't want to change, and you're hurting the generations of people by trying to pass that down. They don't get it, and in some parts of the world, people have to learn to deal and live among each other. In a nation that learn to coexist and live among each other, drive as nothing, accept a difference, and treat each other as equally, prosperity in every other. Them areas in America, maybe in the world, are going to progress. And you're going to see towns in areas like this, there's no progression. In anything, they suffer even worse when natural disasters hit them. There's a natural disaster that hit Kentucky. There's natural disasters that hit these little towns. And these what they call these sundown towns. That's one of the legacies of what they carry. They just don't. People don't. And then when you point this out, people get upset. They don't want to think about it that way. And maybe all the individuals in the town or the city ain't that way, but there's enough people who to take a stand up for it. You continue this, you will hurt in the future. You're gonna hurt everybody. And if you have a president that operates like this on a white nationalist level, this is what you're trying to do. You're gonna hurt yourself internationally. Keep this game up. If you want to go back at that past, you're going to hurt yourself. And people from all walks of life are going to present it. If you don't show the equality in the gifts in individuals, instead of having that mindset that it has to look a certain way, you're going to hurt yourself. These towns are hurting themselves. These backward ass towns. Number two thing I want to bring up about this. They fear because the white population going to drop. White population is not dropping. The white population is steady growing. That's why they maintain those towns like that. Most times a good percentage of those people that live in those towns, that's the way they want it. They okay with that. They want to keep raising, and they wonder why the kids go away and try to figure out, wow, it's something different when they go out to the main world. And people that don't just look like them, that they can't handle the reality because they make it, I call it a Norman Rockwell setting. And they're not used to having all these different individuals and culture. And there's some people, they can be called themselves Christians, to go to church, but there's some people that can verify what I'm saying, but they think that God that looks like them in their town thinks like them in their town. You have white nationalists think that Jesus is a white nationalist. I know this is deep, but it's the truth. But I call it the Simon Says, where Simon says, wait till we get up half, while the other people just wait till we'll get around to them and let them suffer the consequences. Oh no. No. It's not happening no more. And if they bring it back to that, it will set America back another 3 to 5 generations. If you don't cut this mess in these towns, you'll never grow. You're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna hurt international opportunity, and you're gonna hurt the generations of your children, because your children are gonna have to interact with different people and go to school, education, business, and everything along with them. They're not just gonna look like you. This is what people don't understand. That it's not gonna look one way all the time. The world is changing. The Most High God is gonna put it back in order, where it might be the very people you think that look like myself is at the bottom, but we the people going to bring it back to the way He's going to use us to bring it back to where everybody's is at a level. So this old America is going to die down. In any other part of the world that got that same mindset, they will not progress. That if they do it in Germany, it's not going to progress. If they do it in Australia, it's not going to progress. No, you have skinheads and white nationalists are going to destroy your economy. You allow that thinking, it's going to destroy, and you're going to be shamed among the world. People are going to see that all over the world. They're not going to want to do business with you, and you're going to hurt your people. This is what some of these people who are these nationalist mindset people are hurting their own people. You're hurting your own city, you're hurting your own town in America. That's why you're not growing. And you're doing it because you fear. You're doing it because you're afraid of change. Oh, change is coming. Change is coming. See, sometimes even if it takes a disaster to make change is coming, you're going to figure this out. You can't stop I like what one black man said. They try to hold us back, but you can't hold back the flood. You can't hold back the fire. You can't hold back the tornado. Your privilege, your name, can never do anything. Your whiteness will never be able to stop the supernatural, to make what is just as right as in the earth. And what you've done to people that have that mindset, this don't apply to all white people, but the ones that have been doing this stuff for generation after generation, I hope God lets you see you're not above. Your name, your money, your clique, your clout, or anybody that think like you, from the White House to State House, you're gonna find out. Watch as this economy go. If President Trump try to do that direction, it's gonna fall. No one's gonna respect him. No one will do business with them. So you can do the 2025. You can play the white undercover nationalists, but it's not going to work. God's going to expose it. He's going to bring it down. And people are going to see it. They're going to see it here. They're going to see it around the world. It's undercover racist stuff. It's over. It's a wrap. And if you don't repent, renounce and repent, it's going to destroy people. Not only everybody, black, white, everything in between. You're going to be just like these towns still struggling. These little towns I just showed you, they still. That's why, do you know is that they try to stimulate the inner city on black and brown, but it's the white people is suffering with the same habits, causing them to do the same crime like others inner city do, because they get on meth, they get on drugs, trying to destroy one community, then you have other communities getting destroyed over here. And now they're in poverty. Not everybody's in poverty. No matter if you're in Appalachia or you in the city of Chicago, you're both in the same predicament. You know, if you in Harrison, Arkansas, or no matter if you're in Vidor, Texas, to you in Fresno, California, to Los Angeles, California, you in the same condition. You ain't no better than anybody else. And your city won't grow. And I feel sorry for the people who are not like that, who have to live around in ignorance. I feel sorry for the rest of you. But if you think that you're going to think that this utopia of spreading fear, intimidation, and having a group of men riding the back of a truck like what happened in Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, it's not going to work. That hatred, that insecurity, envious, jealousy is going to carry you straight to hell. You'll never progress. Being prejudiced, holding other people back, denying, neglect because you're jealousy and you don't want to see other people get ahead. It's gonna come back and hurt you. And those are the ones who have this insecure mindset. You're jealous, you're envious. It's gonna harm you. And you know you're racist. Some of you know you're racist. And if you do it, by doing it, God sees you. And you won't have no good. You think you'll prosper, but you won't prosper far. Like a lot of these towns won't prosper. They're gonna be just like Cairo, Illinois. Look at type of Cairo, Illinois, and you will see it's an abandoned town. Do you know that was a sundown town? Look what the racism have done to Cairo, Illinois. Look what they did to the blacks and other people. And in Cairo, Illinois, it should be a shipping, one of the most prosperous town right now. Right next to the Mississippi. Why is that? Because they have a past, and because they were racist towards blacks. And if the blacks and the whites would have worked together and other people together, that town wouldn't have to suffer. America, you still haven't learned your lesson. In Illinois, you still haven't learned your lesson. Look where you're down. We drove those blacks out, but now you got a ghost town. We drove the Hispanics out, now you got a ghost town. We drove the Jewish people out, you got a ghost town. We go the LGBTQ out, now you got a ghost town. No progress, no success. Because you're scared and your insecurity allowed it. That's what they did. And people who think like this across this country, and I hope it get to the ones who are like that. I hope the ones, if someone come across that with that mindset, I hope they do. Because you're going to, the ones that see this video, you're going to see, put two and two together. Go across America. If you drive in a car and a truck, you see what happened. There's no progress. What happened? There's no people. What happened? what do people do? They die out, they die down. America, you better change your ways, or else you're not going to suffer in the future. And for some of us, we're going to leave up out of here and let you die in your envious and jealousy. And die and neglect others. But you can't stop something that will God have destined for a human being to be. Remember, you can't stop the floods. You can't stop the fire. Your discrimination can't do all that. You'll succumb to it. And you'll be just like the other people in the other states. In the sundown towns that got destroyed. Half the lives are gone. Do you want to be that one? Keep practicing what you're doing to other people, and your faith will be just like them. That's a warning. Take care, be blessed. See you on the next video.